Carl, ready? All right, good evening. This is a regular school board meeting of our Tri-City United School Board. Tonight is Monday, January 9th, 2023. It is 6 p.m. and we are located at the TCU High School Media Center. I will call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Roll call finds all present. And we are going to move directly into our audit report this evening. Oh, Kevin Huber's gone. Yep, you're right. My bad. Okay.
Great, thank you. Superintendent Babcock, members of the board, Jean Kopp, Director of Business Services for Tri-City United. Thank you for letting us shift the schedule a little bit tonight. I had Craig from CLA on with us remotely, and he has another one of these to do tonight too. So just trying to accommodate his busy schedule to make sure we can get our meeting in before the other one that he has to do tonight. So Craig will run the meeting, I'll comment, and then we'll run through our slides and Craig will share our audit results from fiscal year 22.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Jean. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate the shift in the schedule. Busy time of year trying to get all these in. So I think, Jean, I don't know what works better. If you're going to have the PowerPoint on your side, does it work better with my camera on or camera off? Is there a preference?
We probably won't see you once I switch to the presentation. So.
Okay. All right. I'll do camera off.
I hear you. Feel that. I just want to share so you see it.
Yep.
Okay.
I can see you.
Great.
There we go. All right. So if we just flip to the audit summary, it's the very next slide here. We issued a clean opinion on the financial statements, so we're comfortable with the numbers as presented. Received all the support that we had requested during the audit process, so we appreciate Jean, your assistance through that process. Jean's kind of the quarterback for the district side when it comes to funneling information through. And I know there's other folks involved as well, so we appreciate their assistance here. Findings wise, it's just the same finding you've seen before in prior years on the financial reporting process. So, Jean and her team take care of the numbers. When we get the numbers, from Jean, we pull those into our software, and then we add about 90 pages of just absolutely riveting reading, I know, to go along with those. That is considered a weakness in controls, as defined in auditing standards. When this is the finding that you have on financial reporting, it means you have a very clean audit. So good results, honestly, there.
We'll probably have this one every year. So, and most districts do, especially a district like as lean as ours in terms of a business office. I honestly don't think it's even worth, like, the time that I would have to spend to do this would be time that I couldn't do other things for the district. And so we basically pay the audit team to do this on our behalf, but it will result in this finding. So it's just a trade-off, really.
Something that you do once per year as well. So is also, it's not like it's every day. And then let's see, so we had one finding on Minnesota legal compliance. And the Minnesota legal compliance basically is, a set of work programs that the state auditor's office updates and releases on an annual basis for each iteration of the audit process. One of the items that they ask for us to look for specifically is checks on your bank reconciliations that have been issued, mailed, but not cashed, that are older than 3 years. You have a few of those, not a significant dollar amount. It's like $3,800 is all. But that's the only finding that we have. If they didn't ask us to specifically report on it, honestly, I would. But that's all you have for findings on state compliance. Very clean there. as well there.
So what we'll do to clean that up then, and we do have a normal process, I think some of these are kind of older, but you have to contact people when it's over $100 to ask again if you want your money, like if someone misplaced their check or something. And then if they don't reply, or if you do not, or if it's under $100, then it actually goes to the treasurer, the Minnesota State Treasury. So that's where it'll go.
Yep. Yeah, more honestly, just kind of a housekeeping item. You know,
Yep.
It's not significant dollars. Next slide, we talk about the federal compliance audit, or what we call the single audit. This year was a little bit busier because we ended up testing 2 programs for single audit. So we tested the child nutrition program. That's the federal dollars only that we're talking about. We're for testing compliance on this slide, but federal child nutrition, and then the ESSER year program, which is also federal. No findings there, so very good results. Lots of federal dollars going through the system this year, and to come through with that again with no compliance findings or no findings at all on federal compliance is a very good result. Other fun and games that we had is we had a new accounting standard to reflect in your financial statements for leases. So that is reflected as on the financial statements, it doesn't really jump off the page at you because it's included the asset side, your right to use the leased equipment is included in property and equipment balances. The liability to pay for those leases is included in long-term debt, so you actually kind of have to go looking for it. But it does, so the standard setters, kind of came through with their requirements, and then the Minnesota Department of Ed kind of got their 2 cents in there as well, and had a number of new account codes and coding that they wanted done and tracked on your side, on the district side. So that's something that Jean and her team had to implement. It adds more detail in the accounting records. Obviously, it'll add a little bit more time for your team to track that each year, but. Yeah, it did require some extra effort. Going forward, they're not slowing down on changes for accounting requirements. So there's something new in each of the next 3 upcoming school years that will have to be addressed. The next one for the 2023 audit is probably the more, will require more effort than the other 2 in the following years. But basically now, you have to look at your software subscriptions, and if those software subscriptions span a period longer than 12 months, then you have to basically treat those very similar to the leases now, where there will be, there'll be a software subscription, right to use assets, and there'll be a liability to pay for the software subscription over its life. So. That will have to be included in the 2022-23 audit. So the very next audit cycle, we have that one to deal with. Okay, so then we'll transition into some numbers here. So we'll look at kind of a high-level summary of the general fund. Lots of activity here within the general fund, so it's the main operating fund of the district. It's where most of the learning occurs or is funded is through the general fund. In total, a little over $24.1 million of revenues coming in, 23.5 million of expenditures going out. You had an add to fund balance of 600,000 in total, so that's on the far right column there. And then we kind of break that down into some subcategories. So kind of working right to left, LTFM and operating capital. Those are our capital related funding sources and expenses. We had a modest add to fund balance in those two areas. The next one in is non-capital restricted, what we call it. Basically that is classroom funding, educational funding. So some restricted sources coming in there. That main add, so that added 300,000 to fund balance. The main add was in the area of like basic skills and medical assistance. Student activity funds are in there as well.
And I'll pause just a second, Craig,
Yep.
just to remind the board that one of the areas that we've been building using ESSER dollars is our basic skills fund. So after this year, when ESSER dollars are done, then we'll fall off the ESSER cliff, is what we call it. Us business managers across the state call it fall off the ESSER cliff. So one of the areas that we've been building a balance in is in basic skills. So a lot of our staff, or some of the money that we've been using for ESSER for, used to be funded by basic skills. We're building up that balance, and that'll kind of help us when we no longer have $1 million of ESSER funds a year. So that's good that we're building there, and we knew that would be an area that we'd be building intentionally this past year, and this year we're in now too.
All right, yeah, very good, thank you. And then the far left is unassigned fund balance as well as assigned. So you have money kind of internally kind of set aside here as well. And then the unassigned and non-spendable, basically this area is funds that you can use kind of to your discretion. You can decide what to use it on, when to use it or not. So here on about $21 million of revenue coming in, you added 200,000 fund balance, so basically 1%. So that's pretty close to break even, honestly, on a $21 million budget in this area. So with that, then we can transition over to the next slide. So we're going to take some of those same balances and kind of break those down into smaller chunks and just kind of show the trend lines on those. But the first trend line I have is kind of that same, the far left column on the previous slide, what we have for fund balance. So fund balance just simply means is financial resources that are remaining at June 30 of the fiscal year that will carry forward for future use. So 8.4 million, this one stays has stayed pretty stable, honestly, over the years. So you don't see it increasing significantly or bouncing around year to year in total. So this one does include your assigned fund balance or kind of earmarked fund balance. So you have a pretty stable financial position with this kind of in your corner carrying forward. And then if we just looked at the strictly unrestricted, which is the next slide, you'll see kind of a modest increase there. Here, kind of your, the COVID aid has helped because absent, the COVID aid coming through for some of those expenses in the last 2 years, the only other place for that to get funded would be out of an unrestricted fund balance.
And we've been running all of our ESSER through assigned. So that was in the previous slide, but not in this one. So we've kept it all separate to try to help us when we're doing year-over-year comparisons once it goes away. There'll still be a lot of explaining, but yeah.
Yep. So it'll be,
yeah.
These last two fiscal years especially are going to be kind of a blip on the radar for a while. Yeah. So 2020, not so much because COVID didn't start until way into the last quarter of the year. So, but 21 and 22 definitely will be kind of a blip on the radar. The next slide I have for you is restricted, kind of the classroom restrictions that we were talking about. So here, your main increase year to year is going to be in the basic skills area. So, absent ESSER dollars, you would have tapped into those basic skills dollars. So probably expect to see those maybe getting used here in 2023, but certainly going into 2024. So. Let's see. All right. I think continuing on operating capital. This one has kind of, really depends kind of when you have curriculum purchases, kind of affects your operating capital fund balance. So 2021 had a math curriculum purchase, for example. There's some technology dollars going through here as well. 2022, I just kind of drilled into the activity, but basically the revenues coming into operating capital and the expenditures going out basically are very close to what you had budgeted in this area. So you kind of have a budgeted increase in fund balance here.
So curriculum is really cyclical, and now with having a new teaching and learning coordinator, we're still kind of working out what that will look like into the future. But typically, based on what MDE requires, and I'm not the expert on this, you have to cycle through all of those, and they present that to you all. But some are much more expensive than others. So for a while, we were building a balance to be able to purchase like a math curriculum. But some years cycles are much more expensive than others. So some years are building years and some years are spending years here.
Yep. It seems like math and science are,
Yep.
from what I've seen, are the more expensive curriculums they have to purchase and roll out. Why, I don't know. I'm not an educator. So let's see. The next one, LTFM, long-term facilities maintenance fund balance. This one basically is tied into your 10-year capital improvement plan. So it's something that you look at and update on an annual basis with Minnesota Department of Ed. Typically it's in late summer, early fall, so usually the August, September timeframe when you're looking at that and updating the plan with MDE. Going into 2023, there's a roofing project, kind of 22-23 plan. And then with your 2022A bond issue happening in the year you're in now, I'll say it that way, the 22-23 year, those proceeds will go into your capital project fund, and then you'll probably see, basically some of that LTFM activity that would have run through the general fund, bigger chunks of it will run through on your bond project in the coming year. Okay, food service. Food service fund balance has taken a pretty good increase over 2021. This is a normal looking slide for us now, but we've been seeing this same thing pretty much across the board with all of our school district audits this year. And the reason for that is basically in 2022, students and families were provided meals free of charge, so it was a great benefit to them. It was a federal program that funded that, and the reimbursement rates with the federal program, that particular federal program, were higher than your normal, what I would call your normal free and reduced program dollars. So with that higher reimbursement rate, plus you had students back in the building, higher participation than in food service as well compared to 2021, you had an add to fund balance here. And the Department of Education at the state, we're seeing this as well, and they doubled basically the permitted carryover or amount of fund balance that you're allowed to have in food service. So prior to September of 2022, they said, well, they would limit you to 3 months of expenditures in fund balance for food service. They doubled that to 6 months in September, and they want you to, basically thoughtfully plan how you're going to use it. They want you to use it. They're not planning on taking it back, but they want you to use it thoughtfully.
And so for TCU, that has meant, we've known this was building, but that has meant we've done about $90,000 in equipment purchases this year already. So there's a new dishwasher in La Center that was $75,000. So this is great because, typically we've been in that like 100,000 range of fund balance for food service. And when one single piece of equipment at one site costs that much, because these are industrial, remembering we're serving hundreds of students in hundreds of meals in a very short amount of time. So this is a great thing for us to be able to invest in some improvements in our kitchen. So like I said, we've spent about $90,000 so far this year and have kind of like another 40-ish, 50-ish that Amy Sauter from Taher Food Service and Eric Schroeder from Facilities and I have been kind of putting on like the list of what's next. So this is great to help do some improvements in our kitchen for equipment, especially like with those price tags. So this is great. So we are back to normal this year, where it's paid and free or reduced if based on eligibility, but that federal reimbursement, there's lots of different food service programs that run, but that federal reimbursement that we had last year was enormously helpful because we had about the same lunch participation, but breakfasts were really up when we were on free. A lot more kiddos eating breakfast than in a normal year, and that also had a higher reimbursement. So we'll put that back into our kitchens.
All right, we'll move on to community service. So 2022 is much better for community service funds, actually being kind of more back to normal, having the COVID restrictions relaxed from what they were in 2021. The Kid Zone was back in operation, stayed in operation, but 2021 you had to provide free child care to essential workers, so that you had the expense, but you didn't have the revenue, and that's kind of more back to normal. Plus, community service or community education as a whole has been able to basically operate more as normal for 2022. So you have the revenues coming in, adding to fund balance. It's very good to see. Plus, it will show in a few slides here, you have a very robust, I think, community education program as well, and good participation. So that always helps. The capital project fund, what's reflected here is basically the older years is the 2018 A and B bond project. That was done and completed years prior, according to plan. And you'll see this, you have a little bit left from that in 2022. So you can find some uses for that. And then in 2023, with your new bond sale, that's gonna go back up with about $5.1 million of proceeds coming in there in the 2023 year. Debt service, the next slide. Here we have a couple things going on, but basically the increase in 2021, starting there, you have some crossover refundings. So you're gonna pay off the 2014 A bonds in 2023 here in about a month. And then the 2018 A bonds, you're gonna pay those off in 2025. So that was funded with a bond sale back in 2021. So just kind of how those bond sales worked, and the accounting and reporting requirements. Basically, we have to report the bonds that are going to be paid off. Those are going to continue to be reported, along with the new bonds that are going to fund that payoff. So we're reporting both. So that makes this look a little abnormal.
Yeah, so this is as a reminder, in like the fall of 2020, we did, fall of 2020, which would be fiscal year 21, we did 3 bond refundings to take advantage of the historically low interest rates that over the course of those bonds would save taxpayers about $1.8 million. But some of them were so new that they were not yet callable. So we were not allowed yet to pay them off. So we had to wait until their call date, which for, as Craig's saying, one of them is now. So we got a $9.8 million bill to pay that off, but it gets paid off with the interest. So we're basically with the other bonds. So basically on these charts, what they're showing is we are holding both the 2014 and the 2020B bonds. Once now that 2014 can be paid, we'll use the 2020 to pay that off. So it just is going to look wild here. It makes our whole fund balance going to look astronomical because we're holding both. But this will drop by about 10 million because that one will get paid off here in February, and then it'll go back up again. We will see some of that, not that much, but some of that offset because we are still building on our QSCAB 2010 QSCAB bond because that's like a balloon payment sinking fund, and then we'll have additional debt service payments starting next year because of the new bond. So this is just one that looks kind of goofy for a while.
Yep. And districts over, as we work with quite a few different districts, on an annual basis, they all have crossover bonds like this from time to time. It doesn't happen every year, but when it does, it kind of just looks a little unusual compared to other years. But all right, so we'll go back to talk a little bit more about revenues and expenses here, kind of what that looks like. So general fund revenues, kind of back to that, just what the pie chart is showing is kind of what the funding sources are on a high level for the general fund. So again, about 24 million, a little over in total coming in. State sources, the Department of Education kind of has their fingers in about 79% of that, 24 million. Your property taxpayers make up about 11%. And then the federal sources is about 8%. So pretty high on the COVID aid this year. So I think this 8%, I think a year ago it was 6%. So pretty heavy year for COVID funds coming in. They are, basically gives you a net zero. The expenses are funded with the revenues that are coming in. Those expenses are reflected in the 23.5 million of expenses on the next pie chart, which kind of shows you what you're spending on. So big picture wise, most of your expense is going to be salaries and benefits. That's very normal, about 69%. Purchase services, 18.6%. That includes special education costs, so contracted services out from Southwest Metro Ed Co-op, and then also student transportation is part of that purchase services as well. So with students being back in the classroom, that percentage went up just a little bit as part of the mix here. And then the next slide is those same 23.5 million of expenditures, and this one is showing you kind of where you're spending on. So a couple things I'll point out, kind of the bottom right, administration and district support is about just under 7% of the total. Kind of the normal range that we typically see is about 8% to 10%. So you're being very careful and efficient with your administration dollar. And then working clockwise, we get into the instructional areas. So regular education is your largest portion of your classroom related instruction. Then we go vocational, special education, instructional support, and pupil support. So if you kind of add up the slices of the pie that are instruction related or plus in pupil support related, It's about 74%, or 70, said another way, 74 cents on the dollar going into the classroom and to support students. So that's a good percentage, very strong percentage. The next slide is just kind of a summary of enrollment. And here you've been over the 5 years, very stable. Just a little bit of a decrease in 2021 with all the COVID lockdowns and things like that. And then came right back up in 2022 when you're able to have students back in the classroom. So that's just been very good to see. Each one of those, students brings about almost $7,000 just in general education aid from the state. So that translates into real dollars. So it's good to see. Certainly helps your budget. I know we were talking about this kind of offline earlier today, but you're kind of expecting enrollment to be, probably pretty stable in the 23 and 24 year. So you got a couple sizable graduating classes coming up, but this is just good to see how stable your enrollment has been. And then we're going to take those enrollment numbers and basically lift a few line items right off of your financial statements and divide expense by those enrollment numbers and come up with a kind of a cost per student. So the first one that I have is district and school administration. So when we were talking about that 7.9% a few slides ago, this kind of reflects the same, that you're being very cautious and efficient with your administration dollars. So kind of how the bars work here is the dark blue bars are Tri-City, kind of the 5-year trend, and then the lighter blue bar and the green bar are just some comparables at the state level. So the blue bar is districts with a student population of 1,000 to 2,000 students, and then the statewide average in all districts in the state in the green bar. So you're about $300 less per student than other districts in the state, if you want to look at it that way. Regular instruction is the next one. So about just under $5,900 per student going into regular and vocational instruction. And here in 2022, you have about $750,000 of ESSER money going into here in 2022. It was about $300,000 in 2021. In total, let's see your largest line item on your financial statement, so about $10.7 million.
So yeah, this jump to me reflects like the money that we're putting from ESSER directly into the classroom, which has been, the focus in either the teacher ads that we have done and support ads that we've done using ESSER funds, and then some of the supplanting that we've used ESSER, to help build, like I said, build fund balance in basic skills and things for future years when we don't have ESSER.
Yep, exactly. The next one here is special education. So here you're in Southwest Metro Ed, part of that consortium to help kind of control and share some of those special education costs. So it does give you a fairly smooth trend line. It seems to be working in your favor. You're spending about $300 per student less in special education compared to other districts. The next one is instructional support. So here, this is kind of technology purchases, which in 2021, you had a higher concentration of technology purchases here to roll out basically one-to-one technology to the K through 3 students.
That was ESSER related. We previously we were one-to-one at middle school up, but did not have one-to-one all the way down. We used ESSER funds to do that to support hybrid and remote. So that's that blip bump kind of. And this was previously had been like the other one-to-one initiatives that we had been doing in previous years to make sure that our older grades had one-to-one.
Yep. Food service. So this is kind of reflecting, kind of participation rates in the program as well. But the main thing here, this is looking at expense per student. This is one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is the revenues, which you brought in more revenues than you had expenses. That's when we were talking about the add to fund balance. So even though, it looks like you're comparing high relative to other districts, those costs were funded. And kind of similar with community service. So you have a robust community service program, good participation here, added to fund balance in community service as well. So even though the expenses look high compared to other districts, those expenses were funded as well. And then the last one I have is debt service. And when we were talking about kind of the crossover refunding bonds a few slides ago on fund balance, basically this slide looks the same way for the same reasons. So once those crossover payments occur, you're going to see an even bigger spike in that year, but then they go back down. So.
And we did add debt service payments during these years as well with the 2018 A bond, the construction referendum passing. So those are things that are, causing our expenditures to go up as well. So I'm doing a lot of stuff.
So that's what I have for prepared remarks. I think in summary, the enrollment looks good. Financially, you're weathering the COVID storm, I think, pretty well. So I know it's been challenging. You'll have challenges, for sure, still, as we continue to work our way through that. But I think, very good results. You stayed in control. You don't have very minimal findings. So just a very good audit report.
Does anyone have questions for Craig?
I have one question. Craig, when we go back to the slide where it talks about administration and support, like what it costs per student, and we're about, like you said, $300 less than the average. Is that a goal to be at the average and be at the state level with that dollar amount, or are you sitting good? Like, where do you find that being all across the board as far as with other audits that you're doing with other school districts?
Yeah, generally, I see it probably a little closer to the state averages, but at the same time, I would say to come through with a clean audit and good results and minimal findings, I think you're managing the district well on what you're spending in this area. So if you have a lot of findings, I'd have maybe a different answer for you, but it looks like it's you're doing very well.
Perfect.
So
thank you.
Included in here in this bucket are going to be the superintendents, principals, and like kind of like the business office, and like that kind of group essentially.
Not principals, assistant principals.
They are here.
Yeah, they are.
That is in that.
Yeah.
Yep,
Director-
superintendents, principals, and the business office.
The director of teaching, would that be in that bucket? I mean, did we just add to it?
No, he is on student support.
Okay.
Some student support. So this is like, we have all these codes we have to do. I was laughing when Craig said more codes because we're up to over 5,000 codes that TCU has that we have to manage in revenue and expenditures. So with 500 more that have happened just because of ESSER so far. And we're not done with it. So it's, I'm not complaining. I'm just, sometimes it's good to give scope of what has to happen. And it's mostly state statute fault. It's like, there's a lot of stuff we have to do that I'll say, how does this make a kid's life better? It's like, it doesn't. So it's frustrating times. There's reasons for it. We want to protect taxpayer money. I sometimes wonder, like, are we? Like, good people do good, bad people do bad. They'll find a way. But I don't make those rules. But, this group wouldn't include like the teaching and learning, that will go into staff support, student support, because that does
Okay.
partially. But people are kind of coded all over, but this is mostly going to be superintendent principals, and then the business office, marketing, that kind of stuff would fall under here.
Okay, thank you. That's all. I didn't have any more questions. I don't know if anybody else
Have
does.
any questions? Cool. Well, if you think of something, you can ask me if you feel more comfortable going directly to Craig or Luke, who kind of more like ran our audit with our team. Then, you know, I for sure would give you their contact information. I know they reach out to Marcia's chair, and Kevin is the superintendent, so happy to do that. And then just the thanks to the whole business office team. We were excited that this would be done today, and then it's like, oh, we can be done, and we're gonna have to start in another couple months. Okay, well, we do it every day. Like, this is stuff that we do. We do things every single day to have a good result. So I just thank them. They're such a fun team to work with, and then when we have to run programs and procedures, and we have to say we have to have the documentation. We really do. This is why. So I know we can kind of be a pain in the butt sometimes for people, but we're just trying to make sure that we're on the up and up, and that everything's accounted for as it should be. So thanks to the team.
Perfect.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Take
Have a
care.
good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, while we're doing all of that, next we'll move on to approving the agenda. I'll seek a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jean.
I have a motion by Trevor Hone, second by Josh Belkey to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed, 7-0. 6. Why I keep thinking Kevin's here, because he's always here. Okay, oath of office, I'll let Chris do that, and it'll be for us who got voted back in. So it'll be myself and Josh and Cindy and Hillary.
Want to start here or over here?
Doesn't matter.
Start with you.
All right.
Get the newbie first.
All right, she needs to stand, right? Right hand? Raise
Should-
your right hand?
Yeah, sure you can.
There you go.
If you can.
That'll make it easy for you. All right, I swear
I swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of the office of school board member
of Independent School District Number 2905
of Independent School District 2905
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Yeah.
I haven't had to do this for a long time. Okay.
I swear
I swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of the office of school board member
of Independent School District Number 2905
of Independent School District Number 2905
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Might have to repeat that one. All right. I swear
I swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of school board member
of Independent School District Number 2905
of the Independent School District 2905
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
You have it memorized, Josh? I'm not reading anything for you. I swear
I swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of the office of school board member
of Independent School District Number 2905
of Independent School District Number 2905
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Wonderful. Congratulations, everybody. Woohoo!
Welcome.
Welcome,
you.
welcome,
Welcome to all of you.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
The old and the new. All right, next we'll move on to election of the 2023 school board officers. As existing chair, I will start with the school board chair. I will call now in order for nominations for the office of chair.
I'll nominate Marcia.
I will nominate Marcia.
We second that, right?
You can second it, yeah.
I'll second that nomination for Marcia.
I'll have to do it one more time. Any other nominations for office of chair? And one more time, any other nominations for office of chair? If there are no further nominations for the office of chair are closed. I need a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
A motion by Josh Belkey, second by Trevor Hone to approve Marcia Froelich as the chair for the 2023 school year, or 2023, I should say, fiscal year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion is passed 6-0. I'll now open up nominations for the office of vice chair.
Nominate Trevor.
I'm gonna nominate Kevin Huber.
Any other nominations for the office of vice chair? One more time, any other further nominations for the office of vice chair? Since I know Kevin is not here and Trevor, is this something that you want, or do you want me to go vote? I know Kevin would like vice chair, so it's up to you.
You can have it.
He can have it. So you're removing yourself from nominations?
Yes, please.
Okay. So if there are no further nominations, the nominations for the office of vice chair are closed. I will seek a motion to approve Kevin Huber as the vice chair for the 2023 school year, or fiscal year.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Trevor Hone, second by Josh Belkey to approve Kevin Huber as a vice chair for 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. All right, now we'll seek nominations for the office of clerk.
I'll nominate Chris Vlasic.
This is the chair Chris has right now, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other nominations for office of clerk? Again, are there other further nominations for the office of clerk? Okay, if there are no further nominations, the nominations for the office of clerk are closed, and I'm assuming you're willing to accept that. Okay. I'll seek a motion to approve Chris Vlasic as the chair, or as the clerk for 2023.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Trevor Hone, second by Cindy Vlasic to approve Cindy Fleechek to approve Chris Vlasic of the chair, or oh my gosh, for the clerk for 2023. Too many C's going on. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Nominations, open nominations for the office of treasurer.
I'd like to nominate Josh Belkey.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations for office of treasurer? One more time, any other further nominations for the office of treasurer? Josh, are you willing to accept that?
Sure.
Okay. I will seek a motion to approve Josh Belkey as the treasurer for the 2023.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Chris Vlasic, second by Trevor Hone to approve Josh Belkey as the treasurer for 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. All right, good deal. Congratulations, everybody. All right, now we'll move on to, where did the mouse go? Oh, there it is. Which one is it? We'll move on to our consent agenda. We'll have approval of our minutes of our December 12th, 2022 regular school board meeting. Under personnel, we have some appointment ending. We have Gail Emberson, a school readiness district-wide, and Jenna Glucks, a TCU Kids Zone Rep district-wide. Under new hires, we have Susie Ripp, a part-time Kids Zone supervisor in TCU Lee Center, Phil Tisdale, volunteer baseball coach, Nicole Erickson, paraprofessional, TCU Montgomery, Amanda Bezick, paraprofessional, TCU Lonsdale. Hope Cordall, English language, a long-term sub at TCU Lee Center. And Doug Zvozowski, a part-time custodian maintenance, TCU Lee Center. We have approval in the bills amount of $1,085,978.54, and also our finance report. I'll seek a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
I have a motion by Chris Velasek, second by Hillary Birdsell, to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Next is the open forum, and I believe we have not had any requests to speak to the board this evening, so now we'll move on to informational items, and our first will be our administration report that we moved.
Fantastic. First of all, congratulations, Hillary, for being part of our board and our team.
Thank you.
And for everybody else that reran and being back on the board. So very, very cool. We'll be at the end of our first semester this Friday. Amazing at really how fast this semester actually went. I was just writing an article for the paper for tomorrow that, when you look at it and things are going well, things seem to go by pretty fast. It's like in a football game when the time runs, there's very few penalties. So I've been looking at it as our staff has done a phenomenal job of really embracing the new teaching and learning diagrams that we've been putting forth to them, getting back off of really a non-COVID full year, and just really embracing one another, including our teams of our CLT teams, our instructional teams, and just working together. The collaboration that's really been going on has been really just outstanding. So if anybody gets the chance and you see our admin staff and our teaching staff, please just thank them for what they've done for the first half of the year, which has been really, really invigorating. We're continually working on our teaching and learning strategies. Some of this I'm summarizing from the principals and the other directors' reports. But we're still working on our first 5, last 5, working on low-stakes writing. We're making connections within our classrooms. That's what we challenged all of our staff to do at the beginning of the year. And it's very evident. If you get a chance to partake in any of our meetings, you'll see that it's fully collaborative. Everything we do has been collaborative. It hasn't been anybody on their own pedestal, but a lot of people working together for the betterment of our students, which is really fun for me to see. I'm sitting off to the side and watching these groups go. Method relies on a lot of integration of social, emotional, affective, and cognitive practices to support the design. I'm talking about the CLT teams when they're working together. So it's not just the academic piece, it's a lot of pieces that go to that to make sure that our students are well supported and they feel good about coming to school. Continue working on that with our staffs so we can scaffold and bridge the gaps between elementary to middle school to high school. Another meeting tomorrow with the high school to further those conversations. So I'm really excited about talking with Alan and his leadership team at the high school. We also, along with this, have instructional strategy, which I mentioned before. Here we look at our IDPD, I can never say that, IDPD model, and looking at our AVID program and our QComp, and putting that all together once again so that our administration can look at a coaching model for evaluations. We've got quite a few evaluations done now, obviously, especially with our non-tenured staff. More of the tenured staff are up on the docket right now, and we'll be going through that more so. We just had a QComp meeting where we talked about our QComp coaches, actually working with the coaching phases of our QComp, and really just having engaging questions with our teaching staff. I think sometimes they want a little bit more direction to that, but really it's just having meaningful and congenial conversations to instigate someone to talk about their teaching practice, and that's where we want to get our teachers to. So our QComp meeting we just had last week, and probably one of the best QComp meetings that we've had, just feeling that we're starting to be on that same page as the year's gone on. So second half of the school year, I think it'll even be smoother than the first half, just because people are more engaged now as to what we're attempting to do, so pretty exciting. Shout out to Pat and Linda. I just want to throw that out there from the Palmer Bus Company. They deserve some kudos on occasion. We've had quite a few snow days already, or weather days if you want to call them that. So I work with Pat really closely very early in the morning or even late at night to make sure that we do what's best for our students and staff so that everybody is safe. And at times it takes a lot of effort on their part to call the drivers, make sure the buses are ready to go, If one goes in the ditch, we gotta maneuver buses to pick those kids up. If we get in a little fender bender, which we had one, we gotta get the police to come out and investigate the bus. So they do a lot of work, and they should be recognized often for what they do. It's a lot of work that they do, more than I ever imagined. So to manage what they do is pretty awesome. Like I said, our principals included some updates. I think one of the biggest thing is that they continue to work on Titan Pride. And the language and how they treat the Titan Pride, which in some regards is PBIS, but we call it Titan Pride, and how they work with kids and get kids to understand when they do something wrong versus just a direct punishment, I think has been pretty meaningful, and also allows the kids to make those connections with teachers versus just a consequence. Right, so you'll see a lot more of our students being actually worked with, not worked against, which has been really, once again, fun for me to watch. We've had one round of fast testing for elementary earlier this year, and we'll be implementing round 2 coming up here very soon. Will be great to see some comparative data. Data focuses on each individual and shows us more information than what an MCA score gives. So I want to keep mentioning that our FAST scores are more cumulative as the year goes on. It's not just a one snapshot picture of an MCA score. So we get to see the progression of our students, each student individually, as the year goes on, versus an MCA where quite frankly, a lot of students do get nervous. There's a lot of stakes put on it. People say too much about it sometimes. And it kind of filters and washes itself out because some kids just don't do well on it. Versus the FAST, they just know it's part of class, it's coming up, they test, and then we can do some comparative analysis and some data, give it to parents, and then work with those kids as far as if we need to put them at a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 type level of instruction, which is really, really fun. So it'll be really fun to see the comparisons of the first one and the second one. Finally, I'll just talk a little bit about administration's already talking about the next school year. Yeah, we're still in this one, but we're already talking about the next one as we continue to realign programs like I talked about before between our elementary and our middle school and our high school, and then continue to put that emphasis on the middle school and bridge the gaps for our kids to be more prepared for high school. It's also allowing our K-6 staff some flexibility into using especially our 5th and 6th grade teachers in a more of a performance-based manner, where teachers will teach more of the content that they're really strong at, and then 5th and 6th grade students get more of that support from a teacher that really is strong in that content area. And the ability for staff to teach from that content area also allows the students to be able to ask more meaningful questions that a teacher can answer full-heartedly. So really excited about that. A lot of great stuff, a lot of great things going on. I can't say enough about my first 6 months working with the staff. I know I'm always very appreciative, but there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, working with a lot of people, and we just have a lot of folks doing a lot of great work. I'm just going to say it again, so if you see our staffs out and about, anybody that's even watching right now, give them a big thank you, because a lot goes into what goes on in the school district, so thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our ECFE donation. This was on informational items, okay.
I know a cart you could borrow.
I've had one very recently. Thanks for letting us come tonight. We wanted to just take a couple minutes to recognize one of the donations that we will hopefully be approved for later in this meeting. So I'm Natalie Eckstein. I'm the early childhood coordinator for the district.
I'm Stacy Sapleka. I am the early childhood, preschool, community ed, you name it, administrative assistant. And this donation came from the family of Barb Jackson. And Barb retired 22 years ago this spring. And she still thought enough that she wanted any benefits that came in from her funeral to come to us. So it was amazing. I brought my own kids to ECFE with Barb. She was a joy to be there. She loved kids. And then once I started working here 24 years ago, I spent a couple years working with her. And then when I went on to move up to being the assistant, and the next person took over when Barb retired, we kept finding little sticky notes everywhere from Barb. Well, there's a little note about this. Well, you might want to do that. Well, ask the superintendent before you do this, and ask the principal before you do that. So Barb was always there looking out for us. Many years we kept finding those sticky notes, so we knew she was looking out for us, and now she still is by having this donated to us.
Yeah, we're just very honored and humbled that she would choose our early childhood department as the legacy that can be carried forward. So the family did request that we come up with a list of books that we could purchase, which I think our staff will be really excited to hear. Some of our books are really outdated and need a replacement, and there's lots of new titles that we would love to add to our library. So thank you for letting us come. We think it's a very important donation, and just to recognize that this is just something that was so instrumental in getting early childhood going at this district. So thank you for letting us recognize that.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yay. Thank you.
Thank you for presenting that.
I want to say, Lexi was part of the program when Barb was still doing it. I think she was that far back.
Because
Yeah.
I worked with her.
Yep.
I've been here that long. I'm right there.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't either.
Enrollment update.
Below that, we have.
Okay.
I may change the way that looks a little bit. So, as of January 9th, we are at 1,856 students, down 3 from December. From last year, in January 2022, we are at 1,839. So we are up from last year. So staying very stable, staying the same. Nothing too major on changes. I know we had a family that moved out, so staying pretty similar, I guess.
Moved out of district?
Yeah.
Do you know off the top of your head what classes are the big ones, like that freshman class right now?
Right now, it's the sophomore and junior class.
Sophomore and junior.
Yep. The current
Okay.
sophomores and juniors. After both of those leave, depending on, I guess, what homesteads and people buying and so on and so forth, that will drop by 20-some students-ish.
Right,
So
because the
it-
kindergarten
After
classes
both.
coming in weren't, right?
Yep,
After both of them?
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Not each year.
'Cause
Yeah, so right now, kindergarten has 133, first grade is 126, and second grade is 128, and currently the 10th grade has 154, the 11th grade has 164, oh, I'm sorry, 9th grade has 154, 10th grade has 164, and 11th grade has 151. So there's 3 grade levels in there that are pretty high compared to where 3 of the primaries are at right now.
Okay.
So
It's per grade.
So we'll keep an eye on that, obviously, as we move forward. But next 2 years, really 3 years, we'll stay pretty even, like CLA mentioned on their audit report. We should stay pretty consistent.
All right, we have committee updates, and the only thing we have on here is the Q comp. I was not able to attend, it was at wrestling.
Correct, and I mentioned a little bit about it already. So the QComp advisory, we just primarily talked about all the buildings in regards to the coaching practices of our QComp coaches. They had a lot of questions on what are, I guess, enticing questions that they should be asking. What should they be doing as far as working with other teachers? And it simply just comes down to coming up with a engaging question for them just to initiate the conversation, and then allowing the teacher or the staff to be able to talk about their class then. And then for the QComp coach then to continue the engaging conversation, so that if that teacher needs some extra input or some extra advice, that we could give it to them as a coach, right? So if Marcia has a question, then I may engage her back into that question, so maybe she'll answer herself. If not, then as a coach, then I can help Marcia with that process and get her the help that she may need for some better teaching practices within your classroom. That was primarily our conversation. I guess the amount of dollars has now come off of the conversation finally. Initially, when David Bernard was hired as teacher of directing and learning, we have transposed how this looks, so we're not driven by QComp dollars for our teaching. We're actually teaching for better practices, not because of a dollar amount. So that has finally come off. They know that if they are working on their portfolios and they're engaged as to what they're supposed to be doing, the coaching evaluation process with the principals then will get them their money ultimately, right? So that's primarily our conversations. I was very pleased that we're not talking about the dollar amount anymore. Initially, that was a big part of it, was everybody was anxious about, I'm not gonna get that $1,900 and some dollars. That's not the case. The case is if you're doing your teaching job, you will obtain and get the money, right? So right now David did a report for admin about 2 weeks ago, and we're really about 70% are on board right now with everything that's going on. And we got some pockets here and there, which isn't necessarily always about the major core areas, math, science, English, and social studies. We also have some elective areas that it's more difficult sometimes to work with the first 5, last 5. So we're working on some models that can help them through that process with the teaching as well. So there's just areas that are a little bit different than just your 4 core. So once we fine tune those up and we really hone in on those teachers' skills and where they're at, we'll see that go up. But it's really, David was very impressed as to where we're at right now with everybody being on board here at TCU. And quite frankly, so am I. I thought it'd be a lot lower than some of the percentages that I saw. And I walk around and watch, and there are a lot of engaged teachers with their classes right now, which is really cool. More than I think I've seen in maybe 9 years. So pretty excited about that.
Well, there's a lot of pressure taken off too on that part.
Yeah.
The money part.
Yep. So doing, Jeff Ballman leads that QComp, doing a great job, keeping everything on track, keeping our dollars where they need to be, because we do have some QComp funding we can use for like coaching needs and PD needs. We finalized that conversation with the professional development in the days that are coming up. I think we have a good plan moving forward as to what our teachers will be doing and engaging in their CLTs and their instructional times together. So it was a very, very good meeting.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, well, next we will move into new business, and first up will be our donations. That would be you, Chris.
Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District number 2905 accepts with appreciation the following donations and permits their use as designated by the donors. Lonsdale American Legion for high school robotics, $500. Lonsdale American Legion Middle School Robotics, $300. Montgomery Sharing Tree for the Angel Fund, $500. And Barb Jackson Memorial for ECFE, $2,000.
All right, I have Chris has introduced the resolution. I'll need a second.
I'll second it.
So I have an introduction by Chris Vlasek, seconded by Josh Belke, to approve the donations for this month. This will be a roll call vote. Josh?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Marcia is a yes. Chris?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
And Hillary?
Yes.
Roll call vote, 7-0, it has been approved. 6-0, why do I keep saying that?
Why did she change that?
Jeez.
If you didn't do this last meeting, we wouldn't be chair today.
Okay, thank you for that support. It's on camera, you know that, so thanks for Trevor.
Put it on the list.
Put it on the list. Marcia's inconsistencies. I love the support. All right, we'll move on to our approval of our 21-22 audit. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Oh, that's Trevor. Okay, I need a motion. Motion by Chris Vlasek, second by Trevor Hohen, to approve the 21-22 audit. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Next, we have a recommendation. I know we all know that Dale has been a big part of the South Central Services Cooperative Board for many, many years. I guess he still would like to be part of that and do reports back to the school board. So this would be a motion to accept and for him to continue representing the school board on that board.
Does that expire at any point?
Mm-mm.
So we could do
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
South Central Service Cooperative is in agreement that as long
Yeah.
as we approve that he wants to be a part of that, we can do that. So,
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Trevor Hohen, second by Cindy Fleechek, to approve Dale Bust continue to represent the Tri-City United Schools on the South Central Services Cooperative Board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0.
And I'll just mention real quick, I do get those reports after
Yep.
that meeting, so I may report for
Okay.
Dale as well, so just kind of a heads up with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So he might not necessarily come to each meeting or
No,
when.
sometimes it's just some simple voting things that
Perfect.
they do, so.
Okay.
But I will report if it's something that's pretty significant on there
Okay.
from our cooperative.
All right, sounds good. Next, as part of our organizational meeting, we will be approving all of our board meeting dates and times and locations for the 2023 school year. All of our board meeting dates will be the second Monday of the month at 6 p.m. located here at the Media Center. And then also our fourth Monday of the month at 6 p.m. would be our workshop schedule, also located here in the Media Center. And that still follows the same suit as what we've had, but we've kind of done the pack. But now we're just going to stay here, which I think works out.
Yep, and
Way
just,
better.
just Carl and I have been talking, Carl's behind the scenes right now, but we're going to take and flip the room, so we're actually backs here. We're gonna do a little bit of branding back here, so when you look at the board, you'll
Okay.
see that it's TCU, and then this will be opened up, so we'll be more
Nice.
facing out this way. Carl has a way to, we're gonna move the bookcase over there where people can't see it, but put a screen over there, and then a screen out in front for us, so we'll have dual screens in here as well.
Nice.
Be much more
Some
visible.
TCU blue on the wall? Is
That's
that-
correct.
Oh, yes. I like it.
Yes.
So we'll have to match the
so
wall.
excited about
Match the
that.
wall. Match the wall.
So when people are watching us in our board meetings, it'll be representative
I like it,
of
yeah.
TCU.
It's a great idea.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a little bit more relaxed, I think, in this
Yeah.
setting. I like it a lot better than being in the pack. Great. I mean, it's great to be up on
Yeah.
stage and all of that
And if
too.
we have a
but-
large open
yeah.
forum, then we obviously can move to the pack if need be.
Right. But we don't have
So-
to use microphones here, so that's just
Yes,
nice.
correct.
All right, I'll seek a motion to approve the meeting, board meeting dates, times, and locations.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Josh Belkey, second by Chris Velesek, to approve the board meeting dates, times, and locations for the 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Next, we'll move on to our official, district official depositories. I'll just seek a motion to approve. It's the same banks that we've had for years and years and years.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Josh Belkey, second by Hillary Birdsell, to approve Franson Bank and Trust, Cornerstone State Bank, First State Bank of Lee Center, and First National Bank of Lee Center as the official depositories of the school district. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Next, we'll move on to our legal newspaper. We're approving goes on a rotation. The Lee Stewart County News would be next up in the rotation of the newspapers. So I'll seek a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Trevor Hohn, second by Josh Belkey, to approve the Lee Stewart County News as the legal newspaper for the Tri-CityUnited School District for 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Again, next will be our official legal counsel. Again, there has not been any change to this. I'll seek a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Chris Velesek, second by Josh Balke, to approve Ratwick, Rosick, and Maloney, Kennedy, and Graven, Knutson, Flynn, and Deans, and Rupp, Anderson, Squires, and Walsberger, PA, to be the official legal counsels for the Tri-CityUnited School District, and to authorize the board chair and superintendent to have access to these firms as needed, and to authorize the Director of Business Services and Special Services Director to have access to these firms as needed with permission from the superintendent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Also, again, this is the same district representative to make electronic transfers. I believe we had done this when Kevin had came on as the superintendent, but we'll need to do this to move on for the 2023 year. I will seek a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Chris Velesek, second by Hillary Birdsell, to approve the superintendent and business services manager as a district representative who may electronically transfer district funds as needed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. All right, so next we have our board committees and representatives. Let's get a motion out there in a second.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, and then I think everyone's got a copy of the committees. So we have chair would be Marcia, vice is Kevin, clerk is Chris, and treasurer is going to be Josh. Again, we're just going to go through this item by item. If there's a committee that you'd like to come off, or there's a committee you'd like to go on, just speak up, and then we'll just move on to the next one. Under finance, we have myself, Chris, and Josh. Anyone want to come off?
I'll stay on that.
All right, we'll leave that one as is. Policy committee, we have Kevin and Trevor. I know Kevin wanted to stay on. Trevor?
You can take me off that one.
Okay, does anyone want to go on the policy committee with Kevin? And really, being part of the policy committee, you guys don't meet a whole lot. It's just when we go through recommendations from the MSBA as they come on, there's like verbiage change, or it really isn't a whole lot.
Typically, I go through them anyway and then just
Right.
present them, so if there's any changes. I just went through about 40 some over break, just to compare between MSBA and where we're at, and then I just present them to the committee. I'll share any red lines, anything that's new. We already did 2 already this year that were brand new that MSBA put out there. So if anyone wants to be a part of it, it's a pretty simple committee, I guess. But it is the policies,
Right.
and they do govern our district.
I'm sorry, I can hop on that one because I would like to get off QComp just because they haven't.
Ooh, I'd like to be on that
Doesn't
one.
work in my schedule at all.
Okay. All right, so policy, I'm going to take Trevor off, and I'm going to put Josh on. Okay. Under building facilities committee, we have Trevor and Kevin. Dale was on this committee, so is there somebody that would like to,
I'll join that one.
you want to go on there, Chris?
Mhm.
Okay. Curriculum, I'll stay on curriculum. Insurance, Dale was part of the insurance with Cindy as an alternate. Do we need 2 on the insurance?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so.
Well, is she gonna move into the main one? and
So
somebody
would
else be
you be
alternate,
part
or
of, instead of being the alternate, are you willing to move in as the insurance representative? And that goes on, what, every other year we go
Yes.
for bids, so,
And it's really just informational.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
yep,
I was on
just to have
last year.
someone on the committee.
Gene's a big part of that too,
Yep.
so.
Okay, so Cindy, you're gonna be on there as a 1-person committee.
Okay.
Okay. Transportation, right now we have Kevin and Trevor. You're all right, Trevor, to be on there?
Yep.
All right, I know Kevin is too. Continuing education, I will stay on that. QComp, Josh, you want to come off? Hillary,
I'll
you
go
wanted
on.
to go on that? All right, I'll stay on also. South Metro, that will be Dale. What?
South Metro is different than South Central Services.
Yes.
Oh, it is?
Yes. Southwest.
But Dale was on that too, though.
Yes, he was.
So Dale, we do need a rep to go up now to South.
Yeah, and you heard in the financial reports that that is our cooperative for all of our SPED
Yes.
services, and they do a great job with us.
I thought that's
Dale
what we
was a
were
big
doing
part of
with
that committee, so it is, I believe it's once a month, there is a meeting that does
I thought it
happen
was
up
South Central.
up in
Okay.
Shakopee, so whoever does that is, it's.
Oh, that's not the one,
No, that was South
No,
Central
that's South Central
Services.
Service Cooperative.
and that's what Dale's gonna stay on.
Yes,
Yes.
but the Southwest Metro
Southwest
is where you
Metro.
went to go tour.
Yeah.
I was confused myself.
I was too.
Yep, so,
And Dale knows this, that he's on the South
Yes.
Central?
Yes,
okay,
Not
and not on
South Metro
Southwest,
anymore.
okay.
correct, yep.
So right now, you are the alternate on there.
I can't commit to being the main.
Okay.
What days do they meet?
It's just,
I
That I can't answer
do
for
not
sure.
know, and I know it's at night,
It is at night.
like 6 o'clock.
My wife would kill me.
Do it, just do it, do
Do it
it,
anyway.
do it.
Is anybody else interested in it at all?
I'm not. personally.
I can't, not right now.
I can go on it if there's an alternate, just in case.
You want to stay on as an
I can say
alternate?
it's an alternate.
Oh, great. Anyone better than Josh?
We got the
I don't
family
want
take
anything
team
to do
together. All right.
It'll be the dream team.
The dream team.
It's 2 people.
Can we go together or no?
You could,
Only
because
get
it
one
would,
vote.
I'm kidding.
you could, but you're not making quorum, I mean,
Yeah.
because with 2 of you going.
Yeah. And that's all the cooperative schools board
Yep.
are on that, and then their governing board with their superintendent
Oh, good.
are part of that, so.
Okay.
It's a pretty important meeting, honestly,
Okay.
so.
Can you handle that?
Yep.
All right. All right. So Chris is going on. Josh, you're going to stay in as the alternate, right? Okay. Wellness and school nutrition. Chris and Josh, you guys are both on that one. You guys willing to stay, or you want to move?
I will remove myself.
I will join.
Okay.
I'll stay on it unless anyone's got a strong desire to be on it.
Don't you get snacks?
Yes.
Oh, dang it.
You're not getting snacks anymore.
That's all right.
All right, I don't want to go on, but Josh, you're lucky winner there. Okay. Community Ed Advisory. Chris, you want to stay on that?
I will remove myself since I have commitment with Southwest Metro now, so.
Okay.
That's, community ed is once a quarter, and it's usually split between, sometimes in Montgomery, sometimes in Lonsdale, sometimes in Lee Center. So.
I can do it unless somebody else wants to.
Okay. The Legislative Committee, I know Dale was part of that with you, Chris. Is there,
It's not much of.
I know there's not much to
Yeah.
do there. Anyone else wanting to go on, or we could just leave Chris as the only one there?
I could hop on that.
You want to go? Okay. Dream team back together
right.
again. Whoop, whoop. Minnesota State High School League representative, again, that's nothing. You sign a piece of paper once a year. So if no one, I can do it, or if you want to do it.
Put my name down on that.
Oh, Trevor, I wanted to do it.
Well, you want it?
Yeah, come on.
Is that all it is?
That's
I
all
thought
it
that
is. No,
Well, I took my name off other stuff to get on that, because I thought it was gonna be fun.
there's nothing there.
You got it. You, Marcia, you can have it.
I mean, I just think that Chad goes to both of us anyway for all of that, so, but okay. But you have a big one I think you want to come on, because I know Kevin wants to come off. Negotiation committees.
You skipped
The
one.
license,
Oh,
did I skip
calendar
one?
committee.
Oh, the
Calendar
calendar
committee.
committee,
That's new,
that
right?
was a new
Yeah.
one. How many representatives do we want on there?
I think 2 would probably
2?
be more than enough. Right now, there'll be, with the 2 board members and myself, there'll be about, is it 17 people? So it'll be all the union representatives, and all the admin, and then myself.
When are you looking to meet? Are you like doing
I will-
afternoons after school?
I
Are you
will
doing
chat
evening?
about that with the 2 people as soon as we're done with this meeting.
All right.
Because we need to get that rolling.
Yep.
I'd like to get the 23-24 calendar on February's board meeting, and then I would want that committee to look at a 3-year calendar output.
Okay.
And then do the other 2 at least in March, or if we haven't done before, then we can do them in February. But then we'll have 3 years of calendars done at least by March.
Okay.
So,
I'll hop on.
I would be interested too.
That was easy.
All right.
so then I'll chat with you 2
Sounds great.
real quick when we're done.
All right. Negotiating committees, licensed staff. Right now it's myself, Josh, and Kevin. I know Kevin wants to come off.
I'll go on.
Okay, I'm going to say this. Your first year as a school board member, this is a huge thing. Josh can attest to that. You've already opened up a lot of committees. I just don't want to overextend the process. So, not that I don't want you on the committee by any means, but I want you to make sure that there's a lot of commitment already that you're having on here.
Okay.
So, I just want to make sure that with negotiations, because that will happen this next summer, or this summer now, it is a huge and overly big commitment.
Okay.
So, I'm just forewarning. But if there's no one else that wants to come on, Kevin would like to come off. But otherwise, Josh, are you?
You still want to, are you still interested? With that large commitment? If you don't, I'll get on it. If Hillary wants to be on it, I am completely.
So we do this every year we're doing this. So I like you to get a year underneath your belt to understand the process and all that. And I know Josh was on for about a year or 2 before we had you jump on, and he could probably tell you stories that he was, yeah. But are you willing to stay on?
Yes, yep.
Okay,
Both lines.
so I'll take Kevin off and I'll put Trevor, you on.
Sure.
I just want you to be able to understand the process and all of that first before going on to a big committee like this, because it is. I mean, we're talking lots of hours at one time and all of that too. So, okay, non-certified staff, custodians and food service. We have Kevin and Trevor. Are you willing to stay on? Trev?
Yeah, I'm fine staying
Okay.
on that one.
All right. Paraprofessionals, I know Dale was on that with Chris. Is there someone that wants to hop on with that? And maybe that would be a good one, Hillary, either with that one or the confidential staff, just to kind of understand the process first, if you wanted to do that. Are they in negotiations here, though?
No.
No, because it would
we
be the
just
next
did.
year.
Yep,
We just did.
we just finished
Okay,
the
that's what I
parents.
thought. Okay, well, then, I guess either way.
How come, can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
How come custodians and food service are combined when they weren't combined? I mean, they're separate entities.
They're negotiated separately.
Mhm.
It might just be like
The committee's the same, but it's just different, yeah.
I don't know why that is though.
Okay, everything else is broken down.
We can break it down, we just
We
make
don't,
it.
I was just curious
yeah.
if there was a reason behind it, and I guess I could have just asked Jane.
It could be really all from, they used to be on the same contract. I
Okay.
think like
You're right.
consolidation time.
Mm-hmm, long time
So
ago.
it could just be like, that's how long it's been like.
Okay.
But
They're
they
not
are
on the
no
same
longer, they
contract.
do have
Yeah.
separate contracts, or work agreements.
Well, and they're unions too, so, yeah.
Food
Correct.
service is
For,
not.
Food
they
service is
used,
not.
they used to be though,
Yeah.
okay.
So it could just be that much of a holdover from
Okay.
back then. when they
We can
were-
change
Yeah,
that,
no,
though.
no, I'm not saying it needs to get broke apart, but they're bigger groups than the secretaries, and they're one entity.
That we can most
We're
certainly
fine.
line item separately.
I was just curious
Yeah.
why it was like that.
All right, so for paraprofessionals, I guess it wouldn't matter this year because that would happen then 2024 is when they would negotiate again. So, but is there someone that would like to go on that committee just for the sake of going on it with Chris?
Holding your spot for next year.
Right?
So, okay, one more question. The licensed staff is gonna be negotiable this year, not next year,
This year.
this year.
Starting this year.
Mhm.
Okay,
So then I can jump on that one if it's not at the same time, every opposite years, correct? Okay. If nobody else,
who wants to do the paraprofessionals?
Or is that the one you?
that's
you
what I was just
That's
saying.
Trevor just said.
She doesn't want me on there, go to the next one.
I thought you just talked about, okay.
It's not at the same time as the teachers, so I'm fine then doing the paraprofessionals. It won't be
Okay.
at the same time, is what I'm getting at.
Yes, okay, all right,
It'll be the
gotcha.
same time I'm
You were
doing
confusing me.
custodians and food services.
Okay, so the confidential then, district office staff, so then who wants to do that with Kevin? Hillary, do you want to do that
I
one?
can try that one,
Okay.
yep.
All right, and building grounds maintenance, that was just Kevin, and no, he'll stay there. The school support staff and secretaries, that's Trevor and Chris. You guys willing to stay there?
Yep.
Okay, and then IT facilities director, that'd be Josh. You willing to stay there?
Yep.
All right, is everyone good with all of those? And then Brenda will type these up. Brenda, I can give you my sheet, or are you taking
I
notes as
have
we're
it.
going? Okay.
I'll send it to you.
We're gonna confirm. Okay, sounds good. All right, so then I will. Oh, we have a motion by Trevor Holland, second by Josh Belkey to approve the 2023. Why does that say
Mistyped.
board meetings?
Oh, good, I read it wrong.
Committee assignments.
The committee assignments. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Okay. Next, we need a motion. Why do we have to do this motion if we already have it as a committee and we're approving it?
The State High School League requires
A separate motion,
every year.
okay.
Mhm.
But we put it on the list with the committee so you could discuss it and have it
Perfect.
figured out before the motion.
All right, I'll seek a motion to approve it, then it would be myself as the board representative for the Minnesota State High School League.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Trevor Holmes, second by Josh Belkey to approve Marcia Fronick as the school board, or as the board representative for the Minnesota State High School League. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Board member compensation, I think this was just roll forward from last year. There has not been any changes made. This is the recommendation as we move forward for all of the stipends, and then also regular board meetings, committees, workshops, meetings over 4 hours, and then back-to-back meetings and any all day over 7 hours. And the mileage rate is the same as the IRS. I'll seek a motion.
Make the motion.
I will second.
I have a motion by Josh Balke, second by Hillary Birdsell to approve the board compensation rates for 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Mileage reimbursement rates, again, this will follow the same suit. Same as IRS recommendation, so I'll seek a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Chris Volasek, second by Cindy Fleechek, to set the mileage reimbursement rate for the 2023 to the current IRS rate of 65.5 cents per mile. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed 6-0. Guess I'll seek a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
You were just waiting for me to say that, weren't you? I have a motion by Josh Balke, second by Trevor Hohen, to adjourn the meeting at 7:30 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those, any opposed? Motion has approved, 6-0. Meeting is adjourned.